أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Welcome to another exciting event hosted by the SDI UK Hope team. We've been hosting a number of these events in the last few months, and just a reminder for anyone who has recently joined in, we have been hosting this under the three main umbrella or three main series, which are namely Career Insight series, Career Guidance series, and Employability and Skills Development series. Today's event is under the Career Insight series, where Brother Sabir Musa will talk about all I need to know about the student finance in higher education. Our speaker will be discussing the tuition fees that pays for the course and the maintenance loans, how to apply and when to apply, and how much you will receive based on your individual circumstances. Without a further ado, I'll pass on to Brother Sabir Musa, who's going to talk us through this process. And just a reminder for all the viewers out there, please use our Zoom platform to ask any questions which you may have in between the session, so that we can provide response based on Brother Sabir's experience and skills, and you'll get a prompt answer as well. Jazakallah. Over to you, Brother Sabir Musa.
Okay, I'm just having some technical. Can the host put my video back on, please?
So Ray, if you just use the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, it won't let me. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
There we go. Try now. Super.
Yeah, okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome again to another session into this Careers Inside Careers program. This is I did, when we started, promise that I'll do 3 or 4 sessions, and this one is probably a sort of the finishing one. Now that people have done their university applications, the next bit, which is slightly complex, is the student fees, which a lot of people are worried about these days because of the amount of money that's accrued and owed back. And because of this, a lot of people make decisions not to go to university. So what I'm going to do today is I will talk a little bit about the reasons why people should opt for university, and the amount of money that's paid back on a annual basis and percentage wise. Okay, so going to university, this is the time now to start applying for your student finance to help with your university course. Okay, so and it's probably a good time as well. I'm just going to talk through and recap and reminders really for people who were tuned in before. Most people, in fact everybody who's applied for university, should have now from the universities a conditional or an unconditional offer. Okay, conditional basically means it's based upon your grades. Okay, unconditional means it's based, they're not really that bothered about your grades, because each college will have sent a reference through to the university. That reference is sent to all the university that you've applied to, and attached to that will be estimated grades that the university, the college has given to the university. Based on that, some universities will say, well, that's good enough for us. If the college has given us an unconditional offer, then that's good enough, and we'll take that and we'll give this person a place on the course. Conditional, obviously based upon whether you actually achieve those grades as well. Okay, so you should have had conditional, unconditional. There's not many unconditional on offer. They are mainly conditional But because we are having an unusual year this year, and with no exams, your college will estimate your grades. So therefore, some universities may say, okay, because there's no exams anyway, and your predicted grades are A, B, and B, for example, or if you're doing a BTEC, a distinction, merit, then that's good enough. So you may be getting quite a more unconditional offers this year, because, like I said, it's an unusual year than the conditional offer. This is now the time you should be now accepting your place. So if you go onto your UCAS application and I think it's UCAS track, if you go on there and accept your places, okay, so you should be now accepting your places. If you've done 5 choices, you should have had responses from all 5 universities to say you've got either conditional, unconditional offer. When you check through your track, and if there's 1 or 2 universities still not responded, then you should be onto those universities, email them, phone them, and just say you want to accept your offers and you're waiting for responses back. And most universities will respond pretty quickly back to you, because they are inundated with applications. Sometimes it does get overlooked. So a couple of things: if you've not accepted your offer yet, go onto your UCAS track, have a look, and if you're still waiting for some universities to get back to you, email the admissions team at that university and get them to obviously make a decision about whether you've got a conditional or unconditional offer. Okay. And that's then you are accepting your place. The other thing you need to do as well, and then to accept your place, there's 2 things. You have to do your first choice, and then you do your backup choice. Most people don't end up choosing your backup second choice, but it's your first choice. And once you do that, you're then accepting your place at that particular university. And this is the time to be doing that. Okay, so change the university if it's still not conditional, unconditional. If you have, then accept your places first choice and second choice. And that's quite easy to do. Okay. Just wanted to throw in as well, although there was a UCAS deadline, and remember, UCAS is a national-based organisation, and they deal with thousands and thousands of applications, and that's the reason why they have an early closing date deadline, so they can sort of deal with so many applications, and then universities then can offer places and see how many places are left on certain courses. But it's not too late to apply. If you've changed your mind since January, December, and you think, you know what, I want to apply for university, it's still not too late. You can still use the UCAS website and still apply. And in fact, to be honest with you, you can apply right through to August, September. Universities will not close their doors to any students, because if you think about it, you are worth £9,000 a year to that university, so they're not going to turn you away if there is a place on that course. So applying now is an advantage, because certain popular courses get filled up pretty quickly. But if you are taking your chance, and if you want to apply a bit late, then obviously you're taking chances there. Some courses will be full, some courses might not be full, but you can still apply late. So it's never too late. If you want to apply March, April, May, right up to August, you can still apply. So don't lose hope. If you think you change your mind, you can still apply a bit late. And the other thing was, just wanted to mention, which I'll touch on as well later on, we are very fortunate in the Northwest, and if you're watching, obviously, and tuned in from other areas, I can't really comment, obviously, but in the Northwest, we are blessed with some really good universities. Okay, we've got Edgell University, we've got Lancaster University, we've got a few in Manchester, got a few in Liverpool, we've got Preston University. So there are some really good universities, and those combined universities will and do have all the courses that you can sort of care to think of. Okay, so there's no need for people to sort of move away, live away. But obviously, some people choose to live away, which I'll then touch on a little bit later on, because the cost element is something to consider if you are going to sort of move away, live away from home. Okay, so living at home, it is cheap, a lot cheaper, and obviously a lot more comfortable. And you have got some really good universities in the area which you need to be considering. Okay, so student finance, two loans. One is the maintenance loan, and the other one is a tuition loan. Okay, and I'll talk about each one in a second. Okay, I might have mentioned this as well, maybe previously, and I'll touch on it again. Yes, the loans can be scary, and a lot of people sort of get put off by applying for university because the thing that you hear from people, parents, and students is that I am going to end up with a debt. Okay, and in some ways it's correct, but what I always say to people that don't call it a debt; it's an investment. You are investing in your life education, because once you've got a degree, you've got a degree for life. Nobody can take it away from you. You've got a degree, and that will then enable you to progress in an organization, apply for higher, better jobs. Okay, I know from my obviously life experience and from other people as well, some jobs, the first thing they ask for is, have you got maths and English GCSE? Have you got a degree? If you don't meet the essential, and that is sometimes an essential criteria for the job, then the employer won't even look any further, and your application will get rejected because you don't have a degree, you don't have basic English and maths GCSE. Okay, so therefore I always emphasize to people at school and college is that focus on your English maths. You should focus on all your GCSEs, but in particular maths and English, and then and all your other subjects as well. So maths and English, and then getting a degree, there is an advantage because progression into an organization in a job is probably a lot more better opportunity quicker if you have a degree. Okay, so it's an investment, it's not a debt, although yes, you are giving money back at the end, which I'll explain in a bit. Okay, so it's an investment into your life, and hopefully you should progress quickly or quicker, and it's not always the case, but quicker in most organizations. So two loans, but don't let loans put you off. Okay, it's an investment. Okay, so I'll talk about tuition fees first. Tuition fees basically is the money that's given to the university because they are providing that tuition for you. Okay, so that tuition is money that's given directly to the university. So when you do your application for student finance, okay, 9,250, and I've based this because my slides are from last year, based on 2020. Okay, and I think, as far as I know, it's not going to change that much, and it's probably not changed this year either. Okay, so £9,250 will go directly to the university per year. Okay, and that's your tuition fee. That's the money to provide you with the tuition that you need for that degree program at whichever university. 99% of the degree courses are that much. There may be a little fluctuation in terms of which degree you do, where you do it. It might fluctuate a little bit, but in the main, it's £9,250 per year. Okay, so remember that's per year. Now, over 3 years, a normal degree is 3 years. If you were times that by 3, it's 27, just under £28,000. Okay, now that is a lot of money, and I know when people get scared off, that's the first thing to get scared off. I'm giving university £28,000 for the degree. Like I said, don't look at it as a debt. Look at it as an investment for your future. Okay. Eligible students, the people who get the money, won't have to pay this upfront in any way. Okay. You pay it back later on, which again I'll come to in some of my slides in a bit. Okay. You can get tuition loan to cover the fee charged by your university, which I've mentioned. The amount you get doesn't depend on your household income. Your maintenance loan does, but your tuition fee is given to everybody. So £9,250 is given to everybody, regardless of your parental income, your household income. Okay, but your maintenance loan is based on your household income. Student financing will pay the tuition directly to the university, so you don't see that money, although that is your loan that you are taking out with Student Finance England. That will then directly go to the university. It won't be paid until September when you start the course. Okay, and that's why it's important when I said earlier about accepting your place. And once you accept your place, it just makes the process easier because they know which university you're going to and which course you're going to, so they can start the process and the ball rolling with that university a lot earlier. You'll have to start paying the loan back when you've finished or left the course, but only if your income is over a certain amount. And again, I'm going to touch on to that as well. Okay. Must meet nationality and residence. So if you live in the UK, then it's straightforward. If you're an international student and you don't have residence in this country, then the fees might be slightly different. Okay, so you'll need to check with the university about the fee, and Student Finance England should be able to obviously tell you how much the university is going to charge if you are an international student. So the fees might be slightly different. To summarize then, tuition fees is money to the university for the course that you've applied for. You don't see a penny of that. Okay, it's directly to the university. Okay, now the maintenance loan is the money that you need as living costs, such as rent, bills, while you're in education. If you want to buy equipment, laptops, books, travel costs, food, all those costs that are directly related to you because you are going to go to university. And that's a maintenance. It's maintaining you as a student. Okay. All eligible students can get some maintenance support, which again, I'll come to the figures in a minute. So you'll get some amount of money based on your household income, based on your parental income. Okay. The actual amount of maintenance loan you can get depends on where you live. Also depends on your household income. That's usually the income of your natural adoptive parent. If you live with a guardian or live independently, the process might be slightly detailed and slightly different amounts. Okay, so on your application, if you live alone, if you live with a parent or single parent, then you need to state that on your application. Okay. The loan is paid directly into your bank account each term. Again, I'm going to talk about that in a second. So this money, different to the tuition loan, is paid to you into your bank account. Maintenance loans have to be paid back, but not until you finish your course. So similarly, this loan, maintenance loan, and your tuition then is tied together as one lump sum. And when you start paying it back, that is something that you pay back as a combined total once you start earning and once you start got the job. Once you start earning, yeah. There's also extra non-payable help for students with disability, mental health conditions, learning difficulties, which again I'll talk about in a second. So two types of loan: maintenance loan, which is money for you to spend and for you to support you while you're at university, and tuition loan, excuse me, is money that goes directly to the university that you don't see at all. Okay. Now, looking at some figures, again, I've based it on last year. I don't think it's going to change that much this year. Okay. So maintenance money that you need to spend, maximum you can get if you're living at home is £7,747. That's the maximum. Minimum 3,410. So maximum and minimum based on your household income, which I'll show you in a minute. If you're living away from home, if you're living in another part of the country, apart from London, obviously that is slightly higher because you need to pay for accommodation. Okay, so it's 9,203 and 4,289 maximum and minimum. Okay, based on last year. If you go to university in London, obviously it jumps up even more to 12,010 and 5,981 because obviously the living cost and the accommodation is a lot higher. Okay, so maximum figure, minimum figure, depending where you are, based on your household income. Okay, it looks complex, this, but it's not. And again, I will just show you. This is again maintenance. So remember, the tuition fee is fixed, 9,250. This is money you need or you can get to spend. If your household income is less than £25,000, that's where you would then get the maximum amount if you're living at home, maximum 9,203 if you're living elsewhere, and 12,000 if you're living in London. So it has to be under 25,000. And like I said, this is based on last year. It might be slightly different, but it won't be that much different. Okay. So then as your household income increases to 30, 35, 40,000, you can see the amount of loan money that you need to spend then decreases. The reason for that is the expectation from the government is that your parents will support you a little bit as their income is increased and they earn more money. The expectation is they will then support you a little bit with your university fees. Now, in real terms, it's not always the case. When I worked at a college, I know in the Asian community we tend to get a bit more support with our university. It's not always the case, but our white counterparts they always used to ask a lot of questions around this because their parents sometimes did not support them, and they found that quite unfair that it's based on parental income, but parents didn't really support them as much as they would with Asian parents. Okay, so as you can see from there, the more your parents earn household income, the less you will get maintenance loan. Okay, maintenance loan, remember, is money that you need to spend. Now, just let's take example 40,000. Your parental household income is 40,000. This is the maximum you can get, £5,789. You don't have to take £5,789. You can say to student finance, I only want 4,000. Okay, so you don't have to ask for 5,789. You can aim for a lower one than that. What I tend to say to people is that in the first year, maybe you might want to take the full entitlement, and in your second and third year, see how you fare up. See how you get on with that amount. If you end up spending the whole amount, then that's fine. If you spend a lot less than that, in your second year, you can come down and say, I only need 2,000 this year because I don't really need that much. So really, it's a maximum. This is the maximum you can get, but you can't ask for lower than that. Okay. So the minimum, as you can see, from 60, 65, 70,000, then it's quite fixed. So the minimum you get is 3,410. The maximum you can get if you're living at home, and these are the figures. Okay. So maintenance loan based on your parental contribution, based on household income, is how much you will receive in terms of money that you need to spend. Okay, so I'll come back to that. So this is how maintenance loan is paid into your account. So let's say you are entitled to the maximum 9,203 if you are living away. So let's just base it on you living away. You get £9,203. The first instalment is when you enroll, when you start. So that'll be around September time. The second installment is January, and the third installment is April. So they break it into 3 equal amounts: September, January, and April. Okay, so if you're entitled to 9,203, split into 3, and then you get one in September, January, and April. Remember, this is based on this example on you living away. Now, earlier on, I talked about why it's important that you make a decision about living home or away. Accommodation on average, okay, just accommodation is about £125 per week. Okay, so that's just accommodation. That's not food, that's not bills, that's nothing. It's just your accommodation. £124 a week based on 43-week contract. Okay, that is 5,000. So just to the university accommodation, out of that 9,000, you're paying 5,300 just for the accommodation. You're left with about £4,000, which is, in some sense, it's fine if you're getting this amount. But if your parental income is a lot higher, you might only get £6,000. And out of that, if you're living away, you're giving 5,300. So you might be just left with about £1,000. Now, remember, when most people go to university as well, you'll be getting yourself a part-time job, and you'll be working, and you've got some money coming in. You might have a bit of saving. I doubt if you have that much anyway. You'll have a bit of saving. Okay. So it makes a big difference whether you choose then to live at home or live away. Living at home, you'll save this 5,332, unless obviously your parents might ask for a little bit of amount of money for your board. But if you're living away from home, that is an average cost for accommodation. Okay, so bear that in mind. Living away, that's an average cost. Living at home, you save that much. Okay. Okay, so how to apply? www.gov Student Finance England. How to apply? The main thing to remember: you will be a 2021/22 student. It's still live and for 2021. So don't make the mistake of clicking on 2021. You are applying for 2021. So if you are new going into this September 2021 entry, then student finance, make sure you click on 21/22 entry, not 2021. Okay, on the website, it's quite explained. You don't need to confirm place, but it's better if you do. Like I said earlier, okay, apply before you prefer to. You can change details later on. Okay, it should be open anytime now. Okay, maybe if you're ready, then go on to student finance, and it should be open. I think this time of year usually opens end of February, early March. It should be open. Okay, so the earlier you apply, the better, because the student finance can sort all your finance funding, and it's ready. So when you start in September, all your finance and funding is ready, and it's ready to go. Okay, they do again give you a deadline, May 2021. Okay, that's because if they get early applications, they can sort all the monies out. If they get applications after that, then they don't guarantee that your money is going to be there in September. Okay, so try and start your application early. It's not a complex application, but they do ask a lot of personal questions. Okay. Before you begin, though, to make your application a lot quicker, you need your national insurance number, your choice of university, because it does ask you this information, and the course that you're applying for. You need your passport details, your parent email address, okay, and I'll come to that in a second. Okay. In fact, no, I'll touch on it now. When you do your application, obviously I've talked about household income quite a lot. Okay. The way that student finance will ask your parents, they will ask your parents, they will email them to say, your son, daughter has applied for student finance, they've applied for this course, and we need to know your household income. And they'll ask your parents, how much income they get for, so if you've got mum and dad both working, they'll ask both parents. Okay, so make sure you give the correct email address for both your parents. The other important thing as well is to make sure your parents know when you're doing your application or when you've just completed your application, because there's nothing, and if you're like me, I do delete my junk box quite often. Sometimes I don't check my junk box. If I get email from unknown source, I delete quite often. So if your parents get an email from SFE, Student Finance England, and if you're not aware that you've done an application, then they may end up deleting their email. So when you do your application, make sure your parent know that you've done the application and they're expecting an email, so they can fill out their bits that they need to. Okay, and your bank details. Okay, so these are the key information that you'll need before you start application. You can go back to your applications, but much easier if you have all this in front of you, and then it's a lot easier to do your application. So create an account, just like UCAS, register, put your email address in, create a password, secret questions and stuff. You've created yourself an account. Keep note of your email address, keep note of your password. Don't lose it, because you do need to keep going back into this and then take a picture of the customer reference number. So then if you get asked for any reason, then you've got that as well. The application should take 30 minutes if you've got all the information handy. So it should only take you about 30 minutes. Okay. And this is related. Try using no more than 10 characters for these passwords. Okay. Passwords and secret questions, keep it simple. Okay. So it's not complex. You just ask for details, ask for your parents' email address, and then you'll complete that application. You just then wait for to hear from them, and then they'll contact your parents, ask for their income. It's based on their previous tax year, so your income is not based on this year; it's their previous tax year. So they always work one tax year back. Okay, if your circumstances, if your parents' circumstances drastically change this year, then you ought to let them know, because then they may take that into account. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to say, I'll take the questions at the end, because I've got a few more slides and I'll take the questions at the end. Questions to watch out for on the application. Have you studied or currently studying any higher education course? In the main, it's no. So it's higher education course, you haven't done that. But if you have been to university before, then you'll click yes. But in the main, it's no. Do you want to apply for a maintenance loan? Say yes, even if you're going to apply for a little bit, just check how much you are entitled to. But like I said, then you can ring them, and if you don't want to take any maintenance loan, then that's fine. You might just decide, I only want a couple of £1,000, that's fine. Or you might want to take up your maximum allowance, which is fine too. So it's better to say yes, see how much you're going to get, because that money is not going into your account until September anyway. Okay. Do you want to apply for the higher amount of maintenance loans? Again, say yes and see how much you're getting. But then, like I said, you don't have to then take that much. Will you be employed while you're studying? No, your part-time weekend job doesn't count. Okay, so your income, if you are 18, 19, your household income is only your parental income. Yours don't count. Okay, so just be careful with some of those questions. What happens then is, once you've applied, Student Finance England will email your parents, and they'll ask your parents to submit their income details. Student finance handlers will then assess how much you can get. Take up to 6 weeks. So within 6 weeks, you'll know how much you're going to be entitled to. You can track your progress via online accounts. Once you've registered, you can keep going in and check what's going on. And once they've decided, make the decision, they will then send you an email or a text message to let you know that they've worked out your income. Okay. Once your assessment is complete, we'll then send you, there you go, enter a letter and a text message. You need to take this letter to your unit when you enroll. So keep that letter safe. Whatever email or letter, keep it safe. And when you go and enroll in September, you take that letter and say to the unit, yes, I've been accepted. Yes, this is the funding I'm going to get. This is the finance I'm going to get. And that will make your enrollment a lot easier. Uni College will use this to start the course and then make the first payments of maintenance loans into your bank account. Okay. Now, this is the bit that's really important, guys, if you're watching and if you're going to apply. Okay. The money that you are going to pay back, okay, you're only paying back once you start working and once you start earning over £26,000. Okay, so for example, if you go to uni for 3 years, okay, you are claiming money from Student Finance England to help you with your university fee. Most people, when they start the university degree, will probably not start earning 30,000-40,000. Their starting salary usually is around 26,000-25,000. In most cases, it's around 22, and then it jumps up as you get trained and as you do your first year and your second year. Okay, so your first salary usually around 22, 23, 25,000. So the first sort of 3, 4, 5 years, you are not paying anything back because you've not started earning around 26,000. Okay. Once your earnings, now this is your earnings, not your parental earnings, this is your earnings, start going above 26, 27,000, okay, your repayments will start. They'll kick in over 26. I'll give you a chart in a minute. Your payment is cancelled after 30 years, okay? So your outstanding loan balance, if you've not paid it in 30 years, then that will get cancelled. Okay, there is an interest on your loans, by the way, because that's the thing about loans. And this chart will give you an indication. Okay, so remember earlier on I said a degree is an investment. It's not a debt. You don't think of it as a debt. It's an investment into your life, into your career, into your future. Okay, and yes, it is a large amount of money that you're borrowing. Nevertheless, it is an investment. So as you can see there, if you earn around 26,000, 27,000, you're not paying anything. Once you start earning 30,000, that's about £2,500 a month. You're only paying back £26 a month. And that is not a big amount. If you think about the amount of outgoings that you would have, if you think about your phone contract, your mobile phone contract, most people are probably paying about £30 to £40 for the mobile phone and the mobile phone contract. Okay, so this is £26 is less than your mobile phone contract. Okay, so this is where when I say about your future investment, you're only paying back £26 out of the £2,500 that you are earning. That is not much. To be honest, let's be honest, that's not much. You've invested into your future. Once you start earning 35,000, you're still paying £63 a month out of just under £3,000 earning. So if you're earning 2,900, only £63 is going to your maintenance loan payment. So as you can see from there, your payment is low. And I know when you first start thinking about the amount of money that you've borrowed, and it could, when you finish your 3-year degree, is gone to about 40,000, and it sounds like a lot of money. When you look at the repayment, it's not much, considering that you've invested in your future, you've invested in a degree, and your chances of progression and promotion are a lot higher than somebody without a degree. Okay, so it's an investment. It's not as such as a debt as such. A couple of more things. Bursaries and scholarships. You'll hear this. Okay, bursary you can get from the university for those people who are struggling in terms of household income. If you come from a single parent family, if you've had free school meals at school and college, if you in financial hardship, okay, if you have a disability, and those sort of things. So it's important on your application that you stress on your application if you require a bursary for anything. If you got a bursary at college, there's a good chance you'll get a bursary at university. So mention this on the application. Okay, so this is money that it's not gone onto your loan. This is money that's given to you into your bank account, and it doesn't count as a loan. This is money given to you, bursary. The difference is the scholarship is a way of university awarding you money to say, thanks for choosing our university. You have specialism and you are really good at either a skill like sport or music or art or science, you've done, or you are doing really well in college, and you're getting distinctions or your predicted grades are A star. Sometimes a university will say, we want you at our university, and here's a scholarship. We're going to give you either £500 per year or £1,000 a year, and it could go up to, I think, sometimes £2,000 or £2,500 a year scholarship given by the university to you, just as a way of saying, thanks for choosing our university. We recognize you are a special talent. We recognize that you have special abilities. Your predicted grades at school, at college, sorry, are really good. We will give you a scholarship. Okay, you could get a bursary and a scholarship. Okay, so it's worth asking and checking university whether there is a scholarship available and a bursary available. So this is money that you get, and it's not a loan. Okay, for various reasons. Okay, and I think I'm coming towards the end, and I'll take questions in a second. So seek further help from student services within your college. Okay, your student services at college will help you with if you're in care, if you're a lone parent, if you're independent, if you're a non-UK resident. So you can ask for different things there. Deferred entry basically means if you apply this year and you change your mind, you think, well, I'm not going to go this year in 2021. I will want to keep my place, but I want to go in 2022. That's a deferred entry. Okay, so all you have to do is tell the university, I still want to consider this university, but can I come in 2022? And in most cases, the university will say, okay, that's fine. We will keep your university place for 2022. Okay, that's deferred. Okay. So ask student services for anything that you're unsure about. Further help. And last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago, when we talked to Brother Yasin about NHS, yes, there's additional. This is fairly new. I think they only started offering this again last year. There is £5,000 each year if you're applying for sort of medical related nursing, possibly even paramedics. I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure which courses, but it's worth, again, asking either your college or the website, some of these websites. £5,000 each year if you are applying for a nursing, midwifery, paramedic related courses. Again, this is money given to you. You don't have to pay it back, and it's not a loan, it is money for you. And in some cases, if you are doing these courses and if you're getting £5,000, you may then not need to apply for a maintenance loan. Okay, so obviously, work out whether you are entitled to any bursaries, any additional funding before you take up the offer of a maintenance loan. Okay, and there are some really useful websites here that you can sort of browse through that give you plenty of information. Okay, I've done a lot of talking there, and to be fair, that's really a summary of student finance. And like I said earlier, you should be in now a position where you should be applying for student finance. You should have accepted your places. You should have had offers for university. And if you haven't, get in touch with the universities, and I'll check if there are any questions and if okay. Sorry, Ashfaq, go on. Do you want to sort of jump in while I just take a sip of water?
Yeah, of course. I'll give you some time to sip that water and be ready to answer some questions, which I think the audience have asked. Really useful insight in terms of how the work of student finance works. And I think it's a really good tagline in terms of it's not a debt, but it's an investment. Because I've been speaking to several students, and that's the one thing which they usually I suppose they're scared of saying, once I go for the university, it's a 3-year course, and I might end up in a 50K, 60K kind of debt before I even start working. But I think you have summarized it really well in terms of depends on individual circumstances, and you don't have to pay till a certain threshold. And the repayment is not groundbreaking, to be honest, depending on how much you spend. So coming on to the questions from some of the viewers, the first question is, what are the 3 top courses to get the best jobs?
That's a difficult question, really. There should be jobs out there for any course that you do. Okay, and I can't really make comments because obviously, any degree that people tend to go on to do, there should be jobs out there for those. Now, some jobs you'll find if you're doing some art or fashion related courses, some of those jobs are going to be in the cities. Okay, so you might have to be prepared to move to London and Liverpool and Manchester and work in cities, because some jobs are predominantly based in the city. If you are going to do sort of art related, film industry, those sort of courses, then living in Preston is probably a bit more difficult to find work. Okay, so I think those sort of things you need to be considerate about. Best jobs. I mean, when they say best jobs, are they talking about highest paid or most enjoyable? So sometimes best for some people is highly paid. For some people it's more about job satisfaction. So it's a very broad question. But and we know in terms of Asian families tend to go into engineering and construction and medical related fields, and yes, there are jobs in those fields, a lot more than maybe other fields. So I think what I'm going to say here, just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to be sort of saying something that then upsets any universities, is that if you ask the university, they should be able to give you a ballpark figure in terms of where do people go on to once they finish this degree. So you can ask that question to university because they always do their destinations, and they know where people go on to once they finish that degree. Okay, that's part of their research, each university. And you can ask the university, where do people go on to once they finish the degree? So you'll get an idea about that.
Sure, thank you. That's appreciated. And I think talking about funding universities, the next question here is, you talked about some good universities you can go to up north. Are there any worst universities or people should stay away from? I think the best way to answer this is there any mechanism which the students can go and do some research in terms of knowing what universities are best in their whatever subjects they've chosen?
Yeah. There are again, I'm not going to say which one's the best and which one's the worst, but I think people can go onto websites and there are prestigious universities, and I think if they type that into Google, they will come up with certain universities that are prestigious, which means most students want places at those universities. And the reason why they want places at those universities is because their reputation is good, okay, and most employers, once people start applying for jobs, will take into account which universities you've been to as well. Okay, so if you go to Oxford, Cambridge, Durham, Lancaster, then employers, when they look at your application and you've been to some top universities, your chances of getting an interview and getting the job are, and I'm being honest, are based on which universities you've attended as well. Okay, so again, do your research and go onto websites and have a look at prestigious universities. Having said that, though, because it's a sought after university, the entry requirements are a lot higher than maybe other universities. And that's the other way you can identify which universities are better than others, is based on their entry requirements. If the entry requirements is a lot higher than others, then that means a lot more people are applying for those universities, and your chances are a lot slimmer getting into those universities. so that's another way of identifying which are good universities and which are not.
Okay, sure, thank you. The next question here is, I think you did touch that the amount of interest keeps on accruing till the loan is cleared. So there was a question here which says, are there any penalties if you wanted to pay a loan in one go, i.e. lump sum, or if you wanted to increase your repayments?
There's no penalties if you want to pay all your debt off in one go. So you can pay your debt off in one go. That's not a problem. I don't think you can increase, once you finish your degree, your entitlement for student finance ends because you're no longer a student. Okay, so that amount of money that you get is then stopped. So you can then, if you need more money, then you obviously go into the bank to borrow money. But once you are stopped being a student, your entitlement to get money from Student Finance England is then stopped. Okay, so paying back. So that's the other reason why I say the tuition fee is fixed. That's the money that you get. You get. Sorry, that's given to the university. The maintenance loan, don't be tempted, if you're entitled to 7,000 each year, don't be tempted to take 7,000 if you don't need it. 7,000 each year is a high amount. If you're living at home, my opinion is you don't need 7,000 for the course that you're doing if you're living at home. If you're living away, then you might need that amount. Like I said, 5,000 of it goes to accommodation, so you might need that much. But if you're living at home, you don't need 7,000. So borrow least as possible. And again, I think I mentioned that in the first year, take your maximum amount, and then in the first year, you'll know and you'll have an indication of how much money you've spent. And more students are working part-time. and you'll know how much income you're getting. So you'll, in the second year, you can obviously judge how much you want to borrow. And if you've got kind parents, you know, they might have saved some money for you. So I would ask your parents if they've got any money saved to help you with your university fees, because I think most parents might have put some money aside for your university fee. So it might be worth asking your parents as well.
Sure, thank you. And I think you briefly mentioned in your slides about the interest charge. What was the rate again in terms of how much they charge? And obviously that changes every year depending on the RPI. Or what's the current rate at the moment?
I think current rate is 5.3%. Not 100% sure, but like I said, my information was based on last year, so it's about between 5 and 6% interest, and that accrues each year. So as soon as you start paying some of it back, obviously it's based on how much money you've got left to pay. And so it's around 5% payment. But like I said, you know, don't worry about the percentages yet, but basically around, you know, the £26 I said, or £30 or £35, based around £3,000 income, which is, you know, like.
And there were some questions which I wanted to ask. So let's say assume there are changes in scenarios. So for example, you start off, you say, I'm going to live outside, live away from home. And then a couple of months in or a year in, you change your mind and you say, you know what, I want to go back. Obviously, that has a difference, or kind of you need to update the system somewhere to show them so that you can receive the correct amount. Is that all in the application, or is that part of the ongoing kind of maintenance part?
Yeah, the maintenance loan, obviously the amount that you've applied for. Once you start your course, that money is given to you. Like I said, it breaks down into 3 parts. You know, first in September, then in January, and then in April. Okay. If you lived away and you decide to come home after a few months, you may end up losing some money because the accommodation wants quite a bit of money up front. Okay, so once you paid some money up front, then you are committed to that. So you're better off obviously staying for that period, see that period through before you sort of move back home. Okay, and because the maintenance loan is an entitlement, you still get that entitlement anyway, because that is entitled to you. So whether you live home or away, and they might just obviously tweak it a little bit because you're not living away anymore, but you know, they might tweak it a little bit, and you might turn around and say, well, I'm not living away now, I'm living at home. I don't want my maximum entitlement. I only need half the amount anyway. And like I said, you know, because it is a loan, try not to sort of get over carried away with the maximum amount. Just try and sort of take the minimum amount that you can. And the question I'll just forward that, people do ask me, you know, once you start your course and 3 months into the course, you realize that it's not the right course for you, or your circumstances change and you want to drop out. I think in the first term, just correct me, you know, some universities are all different. But in the first term, if you drop out in the first term, I think your tuition fees might get reduced or you get charged part. But if you go into your second term, then you end up paying for the full year. Okay, there is a cutoff date. As far as I know, within the first term, you decide you're not going to go to university, then your tuition fee will be charged according to either half or quarter, I can't remember. But then if you go into your second term in January, then you'll be charged for the full year. Okay. If you do your first full year and then you think I'm not going to carry on at university, then you still pay back on the £9,000, 9,250 plus your maintenance loan, so about £15,000. So carefully choose your degree, carefully choose your university. If you're in doubt, try not, do your research and don't be in doubt, because like I said, after 1 year, you'll end up paying, owing about £15,000, which is a lot of money, and then you haven't got yourself a degree. You've come out of university with nothing, but you've come out with a £15,000 debt. Okay, so if you're going to start a degree, then be sure that it is what you want to do. And then if you do start it, then my advice is just stick it out and see it through, because you've got a degree rather than a debt.
Thank you. And I've seen people whom I've worked with. They've started off with a degree in engineering or chemical engineering or whatsoever, and they have ended up either in a financial industry sector or something else. And I think the thing which gives them a boost is usually the degree behind it, regardless of what the degree was and where they end up to be as part of their career. So definitely, I agree with that. So having a university degree gives you that boost and edge compared to the people who haven't got one. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think
and just to touch on that as well, not to demise apprenticeships, there are some really good apprenticeships out there as well. And from apprenticeships, the opportunity within an organization to progress and move up are good and are great as well. But having a degree, and like I said, it's an investment. You've got a degree for life. Nobody can take it away from you. But there are some good opportunities with apprenticeships as well, especially the higher apprenticeships. But don't let the debt or put you off. Once you've got a degree, it is there for life.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Brother Sabir Musa. I think we have finished all the questions or wrapped up all the questions. Just a reminder to all the viewers that if you think this was useful, our sessions are recorded and they are on YouTube. So please forward those links to the people who might be beneficial or who might find it beneficial for this. And just to wrap up, we will have another session, which will be a talk show under the same Career Insight series. And the title is Education is a Path, Not a Destination. And this will be covered in a career in teaching from someone who is a teacher. And that will be in a couple of weeks. Timing will be notified, and the date will be the 21st of March. So please follow us on our respective social media channels to get more of our future sessions, and also to replay or recall whatever sessions we have started in the last few months. Thank you very much for joining us today, and a big thank you to Brother Sabir Musa for sparing that time and giving us those useful pearls on the student finance topic.
Jazakallah khair. And just to make a note, our matching jumper cardigans wasn't intentional.
I was gonna say that to you. That's a really coincidence. I don't have a camera in your house or in your room, but that's a really good coincidence, to be honest.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, okay. Jazakallah. I hope it's useful. But there are lots of good websites as well to help. And if you're 18 years old, your college should be able to help you with student finance as well. Inshallah, we will speak soon. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah. Thank you.